Um, okay, I have a little note here about read page 29 out loud. So I'm going to read page 29 out loud. And here we go. Okay. It is within the flooded lands subset that the details of previous forecasts for the future pop entity subset are now appearing as being in our near longer term future. The data details are now showing growth in the subsets for bottom few floors of sky tall buildings in major cities will be flooded over the next 2 years. These flooded out skyscrapers, in other words, the bottom floor, two, three, whatever, on the coastal cities, by the way, these flooded out skyscrapers in major coastal cities are appearing as model space is progressed through summer of 2011 and onward through to the extent of our longer term data, which is about the summer 2012. In these details within the flooded lands, there are sets that are specifically referencing coastal flooding that contain the growing sets for water tribes and pole people, those who live supported by poles in the water, in the developed world. These new pole people will or have newly accreting sets for poling small boats down flooded city streets, kind of like they do in Italy, I believe, where they have those big poles and they go nice and slow and give you the little tour of the cities, whatever. It would be similar to that. There are also sets for wire as transportation being strung between the upper floors of buildings with basement slash lower floors underwater. In other words, they just string ropes across so that rather than use the pole because it might be too deep for a pole, or 10 feet, 20 feet might be too deep for certain people, whatever, and they pull the rope as they're going. In other words, the rope ain't moving; they're pulling the boat with the rope. Um, According to the accruing data at the detail layers within the longer term value sets, many of the coastal cities will at least temporarily attempt to adjust slash adapt to more or less permanent coastal flooding. This area of flooding and mudslides is extensively cross-linked over to the diaspora subsets in both the global pop and populous US of A entities. Further, there are also significant levels of cross-links over to the markets entity, though mostly these arise in mid to late summer northern hemisphere in 2011. Within a small number of termination points within the global pop entity are some that provide for benefits from the flooded lands. These benefits include redistribution of fertility to flooded soils and new coastal islands. The new coastal islands are an interesting subset in that the islands would seem to appear with some rapidity, such that within 2 years' time there is human habitation being established. Cross-links between the Terra entity subset, flooded lands, and the Space Goats Farts entity have a disproportionate level of the termination points being within sets relating to star positions with specific reference to Polaris and Vega. The implication from the details of these sets would seem to be a visible shift within the track of the pole star. The only way that this set could manifest is to have the view from Earth of that star positions be altered. The Space Ghost Farts entity termination points are within very new sets where sparse levels of details. However, it would appear that this is the first of the longer term detail levels to suggest actual crustal displacement, such that navigation star patterns, which existed for over 13,000 years, will be changing in the near term future. Of course, this could just be due to a major level of discussion of pole star changes in the planetary media, and not the actual change happening. If enough people talk about it, and media talks about it, the webbot can pick it up as if it happened. That's one of the issues with the webbot. But most of the time, it's not because they're talking about it because they felt like talking about it. It's because it happened. And that's why they're talking about it. Alright, so that's all I have for my note on that one. Here we go. Regarding climate change, the powers that be will lose tons of money and credibility, since climate change will be so abundant and be so obvious that humans did not cause it. They're going to lose their butt on like carbon credits, carbon trading, the whole scam they're trying to set up now, and all the companies they're invested with that would have to do with this global warming nonsense. You will hear about plants and flowers blooming out of season also. Some flowers that form but do not open or blossom in spring. Some will finally open during summer but are described as without vigor and lacking life. Due to the effects of volcanic rush, will put an end to the idea of a human-caused climate change hit theory. In other words, volcanic activity is going to go crazy. New land masses are going to be formed. It's going to be underwater as well. I've already seen 2 events recently that showed underwater activity up and spewing out underneath the ocean, which of course land mass popping up under the ocean via volcanic spew displaces water, and water has to go somewhere else when that happens. So if that happens massively on a big scale, I think that's what they're talking about. It's clearly not humans doing this. Religion will be failing and falling and can no longer be used as a way to control the awakening masses. Yep, that's an interesting one. I know a lot of people out there don't want to hear that, but the Webbot doesn't care. Kind of like these cycles. They don't care what you and I think, or what hurts your feelings, or what hurts my feelings, or what religion I am, or anything. Sorry. It is what it is. Take the data for what it is. Take it or leave it.